I'm Mary Chris, and today's episode is something I'm really excited about. We will dive into the world of remote work, rural growth, and outsourcing in a way you probably haven't heard before.
Hello, workmates. Welcome to Work and Talk in PH, your go to podcast for lifestyle insights, career convos, and real estate realness, where chill convos meet real life lessons because #it works.
We're joined by someone who's just not running a company, but leading a mission. He's the founder of WrkPod, an outsourcing company that's breaking the mold by building high-performing remote teams in the Negros Island Region with a bold goal of creating 1,000 new jobs. And fun fact, he competes in duathlons and cycling events and now keeps healthy by weekly track workouts, gym sessions, and scuba diving on weekends when he can. Safe to say, endurance is in his DNA. So welcome to the show, James. Thank you again for squeezing this in your busy schedule.
Thank you very much for the introduction. But I should say from the get-go very quickly that I wasn't the founder of WrkPod. I'm a reflection of my young son, Kody Thompson. Kody is the co-founder of WrkPod. And he has a history here in the Philippines that goes back 13 years that we can talk about. I can talk a little bit more about Kody's journey.
We're also interested that you race and do the duathlons and doing scuba diving. That's pretty intense. And what kind of discipline and energy show up in your leadership or in your day-to-day work?
It's all about endurance and resilience, and you have some good times and you have some bad times. But it's all about if you have some difficulties, if you fall off the horse, you dust yourself and get back on again and go the journey again. So country people are all about resilience and endurance. So yeah, that reflects where I've come from. Anything I've done in my life, in my sporting life, the only trophies I ever won were being most determined.
You have the discipline to do all these sports. You need to put in the time and the mileage. It's really the discipline and waking up early, the cadence of doing it like just not like for a race, but really a lifestyle already. Is this something the WrkPod team is trying to, you're inspiring them to get into this lifestyle? I saw that you sponsored a run in Bacolod a few weeks back.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we sponsored, first time we sponsored the marathon over there in Bacolod. And we also WrkPod conducts its own fun run here in Dumaguete, where I'm based, where we're headquartered. So yeah, we're all about encouraging people of all ages to get out there and basically keep moving. Healthy body, healthy mind, and I think it's not only WrkPod, but it's great to see the provincial governments and the sponsoring activity amongst people and young people to get out there and live healthy
just
lifestyle.
Not being on their phone, but getting vitamin D and getting their happy hormones. Can you tell us more about your working with your son? Is it difficult, like father-son running a company?
Yeah, look, it's interesting. I like to look at it in my stage in my career as about mentorship. Kody's done what he's done over, goes beyond 13, 14 years in his own working life. But I liken myself to an uncle walking around the business with a rag and just helping polish things. So providing mentorship, support, advice to staff and really helping the business scale, because the background I come from in a variety of different industry sectors in Australia, some of them very large agribusiness, multi-site agribusiness, food manufacturing businesses. So I've got that experience of myself of actually helping build businesses of scale. So that's something that I can bring to the business. And Kody himself, he landed here in Dumaguete. Spanish came out in the 1500s. Kody came out 13 years ago as one himself, and he scaled his little web development business from himself up to 80 staff here in Dumaguete over 12 years. So he's done that himself. But look, you are what you are in your knowledge and your learning. You don't know what you don't know. And it's great as the business grows. And we've actually brought on in recent times, one of Australia's best chief information officers, chief technical officers, who's got a great history in working in Asia and the US. But he's got that wisdom and experience that he can bring to the business and is invaluable to us as we scale across multiple sites. So
Yeah, you work with international clients. What do they usually look for when they partner with an outsourcing company looking for Filipino remote teams?
well, a lot of our clients have typically been what I would term micro, small businesses. They're global entrepreneurs with an idea on service or product, and they have their own small establishments in their own countries, be it in Australia and New Zealand is where a lot of our client bases come from, but increasingly we are getting into the UK and US market. So they're small businesses that value, look, not unlike the larger businesses too, but
Yes.
the one important thing about which gives Philippines a head up start out of other, if I could call it other outsourcing nations, is that the English fluency of this country. One of the little challenges for us is with a lot of Australian businesses, the fluency of Filipinos is in American English, whereas the Australians is based more on the UK English. So
Yeah.
that can create some challenges, but the great English speaking of the Filipino community. So the Filipino community we are in a competition, we're in a competitive world. The Indonesians, Malaysians, Vietnamese, like the Indians who have spent many millions of dollars on outsourcing industry, these other countries are trying to build themselves up. The fortunate thing with the Filipino community is that there's a head start on the English fluency, which helps with our client base. So they're looking for that good fluency. They're looking for people who have got a lot of confidence in public speaking, who are ready to action, make things happen. The other good thing about Filipino community is the education system here is second to none. And so young people coming out of the high school, the colleges, the tertiary educations systems are fantastic. So, my son in his web development business, his first little office when he came out here as one and his first staff member, Beth, he actually rented an office at Silliman University.
Oh.
So he built up a relationship directly with the university of young grads coming out of there, and whilst they didn't have the experience out in industry, he was able to coach them up in WordPress development and style them into. Similarly, WrkPod's done that itself. It's increasingly we're immersing ourselves in the educational sector, which is so critical.
Like, what kind of virtual assistant roles aside from doing WordPress or skills that your clients are looking for?
Well, it's interesting we talk about virtual assistants, and Chris, you were at the same seminar that I was at with recently in Bacolod with the esteemed attorney Giselle Papadasegu, and she, after I gave my speech, and there was an address from a question from the audience about virtual assistants, and the attorney made comment, well, James, WrkPod, what you're doing, it's not virtual assistants as such, they're actually virtual professionals. And that's true. They're virtual professionals because we certainly do have admin assistants or assistants on different roles, but you think of any role that you can do on a day on a laptop or a PC, of which there are 2,000 plus. So you can do that anywhere in the world. And the beauty about the Filipino community is the young people have got skills right across that cross-section of 2,000 different roles. So we have people that are architects, CAD design engineers, estimators, schedulers, people from the medical profession, you name it.
Very diverse already, James.
Yeah,
so
very
diverse. They're virtual professionals.
They're virtual professionals, and it's not, we get spoken about as being part of the BPO industry. Well, the business processing outsourcing, but it's really morphing more into IT, business process management. And it's really a support of businesses throughout the world who are looking to economise and optimise their operations. They'll always have their in-country teams and their clients who come work with us that continue to create that team culture, and we provide that facility, that base, that ecosystem to do that. We don't provide work from home because they're wanting to create that culture. that culture of the international team that they embed within their own organisations.
On the flip side, what's the most challenging part of, running or scaling a business like WrkPod in the Negros Island region?
Well, you can imagine that Kody co-founded the business with a chap who came on board with him in the latter years of his web development business, Dale Beaumont, who's one of Australia's number one business coaches. But the two of them in establishing WrkPod, you can imagine Kody brought across from day one. WrkPod actually started from Kody's web development business. Through the pandemic, he was scaling up in greater numbers in his own web development business, in his little office at Silliman. So he was outgrowing that space. So during the pandemic, he entered into a relationship with a local developer here in Doomageddie and built a 3-story building purpose-built for his web development business. And of course, he wanted to help provide provision for scale for that. So he built it with some extra space. And of course, the 12 years that he's been over here in Doomageddie, he had many of his own friends in Australia be saying to him, look, Kody, how do you employ these young people over there? How can I get a staff member like Beth? And Kody had 50 desks spare in his new 3-story building. He was just making a pragmatic decision. I could help pay my rent lease with the developer by filling these 50 desks more quickly than through my own business. Well, in 3 months, he filled those 50 desks.
Wow.
And that's where WrkPod was formed. It wasn't cooked up in a boardroom or anything. It's interesting. I talk about there's a lot of magic going on with the business, a lot of sliding door moments. And Kody, when he was out here in country, he said to me, Dad, it's like we've caught lightning in a jar. And it is. We've got this wonderful concept that's organically developed. That's where WrkPod started, from those 50 desks. And so Kody actually was fortunate. And he thought, look, so there's an old saying, you chase 2 fish, you'll catch none. So he realised fairly quickly that if he's going to make WrkPod a success, he needed to focus on that. So he sold his web development business and he brought across with him a couple of his staff from his web development business who are still with us today. So again, you've only got these small collection of people with Kody as the CEO and co-founder, and then going from 50 desks. So you can imagine this, going from 50 desks and then 4 years later, you've got 1,000 team members.
Wow.
And everything that had to be done, which has been done, to scale to that 1,000 over 4 years.
I'm sure that, WrkPod culture is one of the reasons for its success now. Like, how do you make sure that your team, has that WrkPod culture, they feel engaged and connected at all times to be able to have your members from 12 years ago to growing and keep on growing, James? Like, what's the secret to team culture? I think that's one of the challenges of many companies now.
From what I see, and certainly seen it from the outside and then coming in, being involved with the business myself, cultural fit and values fit, because the magic source, if you like, part of this lightning in the jar and how it's happened is Kody himself. He's strong value based in living life. He had a lot of heartbreak as a young boy. At 16 years of age, he lost a couple of friends to suicide, a couple of young people in his school. And out of that, he went into the schools and created his own volunteer programs, coaching young people with looking to a more positive mindset and not going down the rabbit burrow of committing suicide and the like. And out of that came, he moved into the church and became a youth pastor, and he's still heavily involved in the church back in Australia. So when I say that little story, the Filipino community itself, and in here in Doomageddie, that strong Catholicism, that strong value of Christianity, which is so critical. So Kody is, by his very nature, is a very empowering sort of person. To build these businesses, he was living in Australia. He would come out here for 2 weeks and he still does that every 4 months. Very much empowered the staff to grow themselves, and he provided the mentorship to the staff. So he's continued that on with WrkPod. So it goes back to Kody's own values and how they've actually aligned with the Filipino community and with the young people that he's employed, which has been critical.
I think that's really the secret to your success. You're being authentic, being real, and just not doing this for business, but having that values of really wanting to help people. And you're correct, the Philippines were very strong in faith, and this is one way also of connecting to the Filipino people.
Yeah, very much. And WrkPod's purpose, and this is how I became to be involved. Kody would always, ring Dad a few times a month and have a chat about his business and things. And I never had no idea that how big and grand he got with his own web development business. But I remember talking to him. I'd finished a contract in a major business in Australia, and on a Friday, and was talking to Kody on the phone, and he was leaving to the Philippines on the Tuesday. And he said, "Dad, why don't you come over to the Philippines with me?" He never shouted me the trip. I had to pay my own way. but I came across with him, and it was at the early stages of WrkPod's development, and Dale Beaumont was over here at the same time. And Kody and Dale actually opened 2 new sites in the 2 weeks that I was here. And I was sort of just blown away. It was a new site they opened in Dumaguete and at Tanghai. And at the Tanghai site opening, there would have been 300 members of the community and the local government and the mayors and the local politicians and the like. And Kody got up and made a speech. And I'm videoing the start of the speech. And he said, "Look, I want to give us talk to you today about my own story and my own purpose, my own why, about why I've established WrkPod." And he started talking about the story, and he said it goes back to Bendigo, where I was born. I was walking down the street with my dad. And so I've quickly put the video down as he started talking. And then he started, actually gets me a little bit emotional just talking about this myself. He told
about... Raise a good guy, James. Job well done.
Yeah, I'm very proud of him. Kody spoke about his desire to actually transform the lives of young people. And that's the whole purpose of WrkPod, is to transform and provide careers and destinies and lift up the young people of the Philippines. That's our whole purpose. At the end of the day, we're a business and we've got to make money to be sustainable, etc., etc. But the whole purpose of us, and that's where our Vision 10,000, and a lot of people look at us cross-eyed a bit strangely when we talk about 10,000 team members. But we've created 1,000 team members in 4 years, and our own destiny is to create that 10,000. And
we're part of that mission of 10,000 new jobs in NIR, James.
Yeah, it's the Negros Island Region, 100,000. It's eminently achievable. Jobs don't belong anywhere in the world. They don't belong in capital cities. They can, with the beauty of the internet, the digital world, the digital economy, they can be created anywhere in the world. But our vision is 10,000. Our aim is to reach that by 2028. But as Kody himself said, it doesn't really matter whether it's 29 or 2030. It's still going to be achieved. You can see it. And it's interesting when we have our own discussions internally with our own staff. You only realise how far you've come when you stand still and turn around and look behind you. And now the staff look at that and see, well, wow, how eminently achievable the 1,000 was, and they can really see the light on the hill.
Yes. And are you looking at other locations after NIR that's in your horizon? Yes,
there are. There are opportunities outside. Look, and there's many other areas across the Philippines countryside. Out at Tanghai, which is 45 minutes out of Dumaguete, but we're also now in Bacolod. We started with a small satellite office there of 16, and we're up to 39. We started that back at the end of last year. We're at now 30.
That's fast, 16 to 39 already? From last year, it was only July.
Correct, and we're actually opening in the coming weeks a 60-job expansion of that office in Bacolod in the next coming weeks. But we plan, of the 10,000, we plan to get to 2,400 in Bacolod alone. Then there's other opportunities across places like Bacolod, San Carlos, Rock said. So there's many other opportunities. And the good thing about it is, the good social thing about it is that it creates that, allows families and friends to stay connected rather than young
Yes.
people. And look, as is the nature of young people, some want to get away from mum and dad.
Correct.
They've been living under the house and want to have other experiences. But
Yeah.
there's so many that have actually had to travel vast distances, be it Manila or Cebu. The opportunities, increasingly platforms, businesses like WrkPod can actually provide virtual professionals within their own locality into the regional centres. Great work opportunities.
And with all the new real estate developments happening in Bacolod, this is so timely that you're providing all these opportunities and really, becoming part of the growth of Bacolod. So it's very exciting times for Bacolod. Same
Yes,
as Dumaguete.
Yeah, without question. A young virtual professional in our Tanghai facility, I was talking to her a month ago, and she actually raised with me that the great opportunities of actually connecting in another place in the world and being involved with that business, and it's opened her own eyes to opportunity in and around that, because many of these clients too, as they scale up, we've got one client in particular that's gone from one virtual professional, now I've got 100.
Oh, wow.
Another client who's in the financial services business, who started with a few virtual professionals with us, wants a full floor of our new site at Dumaguete, which is 140 jobs. So these are the connections that we've got and are actually building. And I was saying to the co-founders the other day that it's interesting. We've started off with all these, look, it's like a lot of businesses. They start out, you're dealing with the small corner store, or we've started off with these small businesses, but increasingly the bigger, larger and corporate businesses are now what I term the whales. They've been swimming past the harbour, and now they're stopping and looking in and saying, gee, WrkPod's got the capabilities, and these are clients, overseas clients, who actually help and support us. So it's providing, again, another level of professional activity, that careers that we can actually provide young people into these bigger organisations. So we're not just a call centre. We're not, because people think of WrkPod and they think, oh, you're a call centre. No, we're not just a call centre. We're from 1 to 2,000 different roles that you can actually operate on a laptop or a...
So you're just not about creating jobs, you're reshaping how work happens globally, James.
Well, we're playing a part. We're not the be all and end all. We see ourselves as very much a spoke of a much bigger wheel. And the pandemic actually hastened this process. Like, I come from a world of agribusiness, food manufacturing in the last 20 years. And the interesting thing is, we would spend hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars Australian on optimising work with robotics and process equipment lines to actually save money. But I look back and think, gee, the opportunity for us to actually truly optimise the business in getting talent from overseas is something that we never explored. We'd do it with our equipment, which we'd source out of Europe, but we weren't doing it with the human capital. There's as I see, and I say to people, there's a tsunami of opportunity that's going to continue to come, because these conservative, and they can be conservative to some of these bigger businesses, the opportunities that they're going to provide to communities in the countryside of the Philippines are huge.
A lot of companies, are having, of course, second thoughts of hiring from the rural areas, and maybe you can share what should companies consider hiring from the rural areas in the Philippines, and what value do these communities bring to the table?
Well, one of the challenges is there's a growth in freelancers and remote work, and that growth will continue. But one of the things that clients have got to be cautioned against with freelancing work is that freelancing doesn't provide you with the tightness around ecosystem, IT, infrastructure controls, cybersecurity, and all these sort of things. So clients have got to be very cautious and cognizant of that, of putting themselves in an ecosystem that does provide that level of security. As I said, we do have a small business where we recruit and provide remote work, but we're all about supporting clientele who are looking to build teams of culture that can then be embedded with their own teams in their own countries.
And for the Filipino youth listening to us, especially those living in the provinces, in Bacolod, Dumaguete, who want to succeed without leaving their hometowns, what message do you have for them, James?
The Filipino young people can be a little bit demure, understated, if you like. So with their English fluency, we encourage people to speak up, gain confidence, public speaking, because you've got to be able to sell yourself to your client base, one through the interview process, and reflect to them qualities and skills and attributes that you have got. Like through life, and I've seen research where it said that you are what you are, 15% technical skills, and then the other 85% how you carry yourself.
Communication?
Yeah, how you carry yourself as a person, your attributes. Working hard, attention to detail, take initiative. They're all things that our clients value in their workforce. So, that big thing of confidence and speaking up and be proud of who you are and what you can actually do.
And for the Filipino, especially the new generation where, during the pandemic, they were just home. So it really takes a lot of effort for them to really get out of their shell and to actually do the call or meet, someone in person. Like, I think one of the HR shared to me that, for the new generation, it's just like to do text or just to email, but they don't want to actually, get into the phone, call, and do face-to-face meetings. So this is really one of the challenges now of the youth is, to have stronger connection and having those face-to-face conversations.
Yes, exactly. And look, the beauty is we're increasingly scaling. We'll take some of their virtual professionals back to the country in Australia, New Zealand. And it opens a bigger world to these, a bigger world of opportunity.
Thank you so much, James. I know it's 10. I think we only have 2 minutes. It's so energizing to hear about WrkPod. It's not only about creating jobs. It's really about shifting mindsets, about where talent lives and how businesses can grow with purpose. So if you're from the Negros Island Region, been wanting to go back home, please do check out WrkPod. If you're from the Negros Island region and been wanting to go back home, this might be the perfect opportunity for you. Again, I am Chris, and this is Work and Talk in PH, your go-to podcast for lifestyle insights, career convos, and real estate realness, where chill convos meet real life lessons because it works.